Welcome to the weightlifting platform, where our sport is what all the other Olympic sports do, the hard work to get better at theirs. The weightlifting platform is brought to you by the Panamerican Weightlifting Federation. I'm your host, Richard Mason. On this week's show, we head to Malta to talk with one of Europe's up-and-coming athletes in a country where weightlifters make headlines. Some of South America's best will share what they've learned on our tip of the week, and for our regular feature Good to Know, the first ever Barbell Summit. But first, here are the headlines. The Nordic weightlifting countries are giving women and athletes a stronger voice, following in the footsteps of the IWF. The Nordic Weightlifting Federation has a new constitution, which gives athletes 30% of the votes. It also includes gender balance on the executive board written into the rules. Age and term limits are also part of their new organizational blueprint. You must be under 75 years of age to run for the board, and you're limited to 2 consecutive 5-year terms. The NWF has board members from all 5 Nordic nations: Finland, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, and Iceland, plus a president and a vice president, and now the athletes will also have 3 votes, making a total of 10 votes on the board. The European Weightlifting Federation has discussed adopting a new constitution in line with the IWF and the NWF, but the process of change is expected to take more time there. The elections for a new IWF president, executive, and committees are all just about a month away, but at least one member of the current executive is unhappy with the process. Russia's Maxim Agapitov has declared his desire to be the IWF president, but according to Agapitov, his name is not going to appear on the ballot right now. The acting European Federation president says some nations have been informed that their candidates won't be allowed to run due to doping violation sanctions. The new constitution sets a time frame during which any nation with 6 or more anti-doping rule violations is, quote, prohibited from nominating any candidate, end quote, for an elected role on the executive board, commissions, or committees. In Russia's case, historic cases have been dealt with during that time frame, but some of those cases are up to 10 years old. The names of the countries banned due to multiple doping infractions has not officially been announced, and all individual candidates are also subjected to a personal vetting process, with those individuals subject to exclusion over a number of criteria established in the new constitution. Agapitov is considering appealing the exclusion of his country, Russia, to the Court of Arbitration in Sport. The IWF Electoral Congress is due to take place in Tashkent December 20th and 21st, 4 days after the end of the World Championship. And those are today's headlines. Now, good to know. It was 40 years ago that the IWF took more control over what the tools of our trade look like. The companies that make barbells all gathered in one place in Budapest in 1981 to discuss specifications and licensing of equipment for important international competitions. It was called the Barbell Summit, and the IWF now has licenses issued for all the equipment used at big meets. And that is good to know. Now, time to talk. Malta is, politely put, a small country when it comes to size and population. But when it comes to weightlifting, it performs well beyond what to be expected from a nation with only 500,000 people. One of those people is an up-and-coming athlete, and we're being joined now by Tenishia Thornton. Tenishia, welcome to the weightlifting platform.
Thank you for having me here.
Now, first off, we always ask this question to start off. How did you personally find yourself with a barbell in your hands for the very first time? What's the story there?
Well, my father does CrossFit, and when I was young, so from a very young age, I used to go with him to the gym, and he always inspired me. So I always had that feeling that I wanted to do something, a sport that was challenging, like weightlifting. And then he had a competition, and we met with Jesmond Caruana, which is the president of the Malta Weightlifting Association. Then he talked to him, and I started going, and from that day, I've never looked back.
Fantastic. Now, tell me what your training situation looks like there. Is there one place in Malta where everybody gathers to do weightlifting, or are there a bunch of different gyms with different coaches in different places?
No, unfortunately, due to a small population we don't have many gyms where we can train. We only have the main gym where the national team trains. There are other athletes who train, but sometimes at different times. So the national team trains at a particular time. In Malta, there are a lot of gyms. However, they mainly base CrossFit, so they're mainly CrossFit based. However, in Malta now there's a development going on to have a bigger gym, but it's still in progress, so it hasn't started yet. But right currently we have a gym where we train with our national coach, who is also Jasmine Caruana, and there's also another coach, Odmar Police, who trains young athletes as well.
Now, when you started, since you said that you were exposed to the sport by through your dad and through CrossFit, I'm assuming you started at a fairly young age. What was it like being in that gym with, as a very young athlete, your first, first couple of times with the coach, and looking and seeing the national team athletes training right around you?
Well, I started 4 years ago, so I was 12 years old. I personally wish that I have started before, because it always was in me that I wanted to train this sport, because I used to see it. I used to see my father train this sport. However, the fact that I still managed to get the opportunity to train at a very young age, it's still a very good experience. So I still got to train at least from a very young age. It was amazing, honestly, because seeing them train around me with big weights, and it was just a new thing for me. So although I was exposed to my father lifting big weights, the fact that I got to see new people train the same sports, it was just amazing, and they were always an inspiration. So I always looked up to them, and now the fact that I'm training with them because I'm in the national team just seems unbelievable, because it is unbelievable, because it's like I only been training for 4 years, and to have reached this level, I'm very satisfied and happy with my result, although still it wouldn't have been possible without my coach's help and my parents' support. But the fact that I get to train with them now and go to international competitions with them just feels amazing. And as I said, I always look up to them because they still inspire me till this day.
Now, at Europeans, at the last Europeans, you moved up to the 49s. Is that a
Yes.
long-term strategy? Is that a matter of finding the right weight for you?
Yes, I mean, right now I'm in a period where I'm growing, so you really can't control the weight category. So in fact, even last year I was competing in the 45 kilo category and the 49 kilo category. Now this year we will be competing in the I already competed in the 49 kilo category and in Russia at the European Senior Championships, and now I might go to the 55 kilo category, because at this stage I'm developing, so there's really not knowing the category which I will be in for, like, to train for a long period of time. So it's just a basis of how much I grow.
Now, weightlifting, at least from the outside looking in, appears to be popular in Malta. I'm often seeing posts on Facebook and social media of TV interviews that the Maltese athletes are doing, newspaper headlines. Is it popular there, and why do you think weightlifting has that level of popularity in Malta?
In Malta, it is popular, but now it's just coming familiar to all the people and all. Um, Mostly in Malta, many people train CrossFit, which has weightlifting in it, so that's why it achieved that popularity. But the fact that now there are many more athletes in the national team who are competing and gaining good results in international competitions is gaining its recognition now. And even, like, although we are still a bit apart from other countries which have many national teams and have many gyms where they can train, so it's still a bit still developing in Malta. However, the fact that when we go and compete and we get good results, we are still gaining recognition from newspapers and social media. It's still very good, because although it's still a bit in progress of developing, there's still recognition to all the athletes who participate in these international competitions, and it's also a way of motivating us to keep on going and to keep on doing our best in international competitions as well.
Now, what's your next goal? What's your next competition? And do you have numbers in your head that you're hoping to achieve there?
Well, my next big international competition is the World Championships in Uzbekistan. It is a very big competition, and the fact that it's going to be with seniors, it's even more. I look up to it because I'm going to be with many athletes who have great experiences and who are of a great level, of an international high level. So I'm very excited for that. But for numbers, I don't know. I mean, I have aims in my head that I want to achieve. However, this past year, these past 6 months weren't very, how do you say, like easy, because due to developing very fast at my age, I had problems with my knee. So there were some complications, and I had to adjust my coach had to adjust the program for these 6 months. So I'm not doing like snatches. I just started recently, and clean and jerks, I'm still on the way. So it's kind of, at the same time, it's anticipating because I don't know exactly what I will be able to do. However, I never stopped training. Gismond Caruana always pushed me harder to even opt to do, for example, powers. And even when I competed in the European Championships in Poland, I also competed with powers. I did power snatches and power clean and power jerks because of the state that I was in. Now I started snatches. I'm starting clean slowly, and I'm also focusing more on power jerks because I feel that now at this time, like there isn't much time till the competition starts. So I'm just doing power jerks to really get them stronger, and to be confident in what I will do with competition. So there are numbers for the powers, but as a whole, I think this year wasn't exactly as I thought it would be. Like the first in the beginning, I had the competition in Russia, the European Championships, and I was really happy with the results because I did a really good job. However, then after the competition, I started facing some pain in my knee, so it wasn't easy. However, I never stopped, as I said, and I'm still aiming to do a very good result and positive, and gain this as a positive experience. So it might not be the best competition since I faced this injury. However, it's still going to be an amazing experience, and I'm still going to do my best to gain positive results.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time to join us. We very much appreciate it.
Thank
Best
you.
of luck in Tashkent, but don't go anywhere just
Thank you.
yet. We're going to put you on the clock next. Now, I'm not sure how many times you've watched this program. What happens now is the real pressure. We're going to put you on a 60-second clock, and we're going to ask you some questions. Fun questions, weightlifting questions, all just to get to know you better. Let's see. Are you ready? In
Okay.
3, 2, 1. First app that you open on your phone in the morning.
I think Instagram, so that I can see
Okay,
many weightlifters lift heavy weights.
fantastic. What's your favorite song?
I think I don't know. I don't have a favorite song, but my favorite artist is Ariana Grande.
Perfect. Now, your favorite sport, weightlifting excluded. Anything but weightlifting.
Um, I think it would be gymnastics.
Okay. How many languages do you speak?
I speak Italian, barely, English, and Maltese.
Fantastic. Is there a movie that you can watch over and over and over again?
I think it wouldn't be a movie. It would be more a documentary of weightlifting about athletes.
Now, it's snowing here. I have to ask, have you ever celebrated a white Christmas?
No, because in Malta we don't have snow. But I did
Oh,
experience it when I was abroad.
okay. Well, thank you very much for taking the time. We really do
Thank
appreciate.
you.
Best of luck in Tashkent. Now it's time for our tip
Thank
of the
you.
week. Three of South America's best weightlifters, Kedamar Vaenia, Luis Mosquera, and Miguel Angel Suarez, have taken some time to give us some advice on what it takes to make a good athlete great for our tip of the week.
Hola chicos, de la Weightlifting Platform by Panamerica. Soy Omar Vallenilla, medallista de plata en Tokio 2020.
Hola chicos, soy Luis Javier Mosquera Lozano, soy de Colombia, soy doble medallista olímpico de levantamiento en Río de Janeiro y en Tokio 2020.
Hola, mi nombre es Miguel Ángel Suárez, soy deportista de Selección Colombia, campeón panamericano.
Y quería saber vosotros, como deportistas de élite, ¿qué creéis que debe tener un deportista para llegar a lo más alto?
Bueno, primero que todo, mucha fortaleza mental.
Creo que la disciplina, la constancia, es un sueño, proponerse un sueño para poderlo lograr. Y creo que ese es el objetivo y lo más bonito que uno puede tener como deportista.
Creo que lo mismo, la disciplina y la constancia vence el talento. Creo que esto es como la parte central de un deportista.
¿Y cómo os sentisteis vosotros cuando conseguisteis esos éxitos?
Bueno, primero que nada, felicidad por todos los esfuerzos que se han llevado a cabo para que ese resultado sea realidad.
Fueron muchos años de mucha entrega, de mucho sacrificio, de mucha lucha. Fueron prácticamente 5 años en este ciclo olímpico para Tokio. Y bueno, con pandemia, con lesiones, pero pudimos sacarlo adelante, pudimos montarlo en el podio, pude ganar esa medalla de plata tan anhelada para mi país, para mí, para mi familia, y creo que eso es lo más bonito. Entonces, esto te motiva y te inspira a seguir entrenando, seguir luchando para seguir logrando esos objetivos a largo plazo también.
Contento porque pues tras un resultado vienen muchos dolores, vienen sacrificios y creo que no es difícil llegar a este nivel, no cualquiera llega y pues muy contento.
¿Qué le diríais a los jovencitos que quieren llegar a ser como vosotros?
Bueno, lo primero que le diríamos es que no se rindan, siempre sueñen en grande, que los sueños sí se cumplen y somos un ejemplo de ello.
Sí, por más difícil que sean las cosas, siempre hay que creer en ti, en Dios, en tu equipo, y verás que todo eso se va a poder lograr. No hay nada duro, todo es duro, pero se puede sacar adelante siempre y cuando tengamos nuestro corazón y nuestro deseo de salir adelante siempre.
Soñar no es imposible y creo que también es muy importante nunca rendirse ante cualquier obstáculo. Creo que en este deporte se ven muchos dolores y lesiones, pero nunca desistir, siempre un sueño.
Chao.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us for this week's edition of the Weightlifting Platform, brought to you by the Pan American Weightlifting Federation. If you like what you see, bookmark us here on YouTube. You can also like the IWF on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, IWFNET. I'm Richard Mason. Good lifting.